Hi. So this is a re-recording of the presentation I gave on Logosynthesis Day, and it's designed to be mostly experiential and participatory. So first 6 or 7 minutes talking, and then the rest of it is more of an experiential exercise. I'll also be making a longer version with where I get more into the concepts of stuff available, if that interests you. Enjoy. So this is all about becoming more aligned, authentic, and effective. Whether you're a coach or a therapist, a counselor, any kind of practitioner, I love talking about logosynthesis and writing about it as a method and how amazing and effective it is at creating change in old patterns and feelings, beliefs, trauma, and at restoring the flow, helping you become more aligned and authentic. And I have this image here, which I took. It's a stream where I go walk every day. And for me, I physically connect with the energy, the flow energy of the stream as part of my practice of staying aligned and staying authentic, because the flow in nature, the flow of the water, helps me connect with the flow in my own state. And all of this is ultimately, when we're talking about being aligned and authentic, we're not talking about a concept or an idea. We're talking about a physical state, a felt experience. So today I want to talk about how all that benefits the practitioner who's using logosynthesis. And that's not just talking about using the method. It's talking about using logosynthesis, engaging in it and its deeper implications, its deeper meanings, and what it's really all about. And for me, that resonates deeply because I've always been looking for whatever I did in my life. I was looking for a way to do it that was authentic. I was looking for things to do that were authentic and aligned, that felt aligned with who I was, and to be able to do it in a way that was aligned with who I was. And that's been a real guiding principle, a guiding force in my life. It's determined and decided a lot of things. And I think a lot of people share that. Definitely a lot of practitioners, whether you're a coach or a therapist or a counselor or a professional of some other kind, feel this deep need to be effective, first of all, but to be effective in a way that's aligned, that's authentic, that you feel like it's you that's doing the thing and making the change, giving the benefit, having the impact. Not that it's you as a technician doing something that works and it's the technique or the method or the protocol that's working. And for me, this was also bound up in a sense of life purpose. If I wasn't doing this, I knew I wasn't fulfilling my life purpose. And I always had this deep sense of, even when I didn't know what my life purpose was, of having that as my priority. And so as long as I was in alignment, and the more authentic I was, at least I knew I was aligned with my life purpose, whatever that was. And I think a lot of practitioners, again, therapists, coaches, counselors, feel some of that. Sometimes from the beginning, sometimes later on in life, but it becomes a priority. And of course, that is what logosynthesis is all about. Logosynthesis is all about being aligned with yourself, capital S, being authentic, letting go of all the learned and developed patterns and beliefs and insecurities and fears and traumas and all the stuff that gets in the way of simply being you, being in the present. So presence, alignment, consciousness, living consciously, but being embodied with what I call conscious embodiment. Living a life, doing your work in a way that's on purpose. And all of these making you effective in a way that's way beyond what we normally would call being effective. It's having a real transformational impact. You are a self. There's the essence of you that is embodied. And in this embodied state, in this world, our experiences create these frozen energy introjects, we can call them, that get in the way, that make us forget who we are, that get in the way of being that person, being aligned with it, even feeling it, knowing it, because we create an ego self for our protection. The job, our job, and the job of logosynthesis is to get back into alignment, into connection with that self with a capital S, which you could also call soul, which is related to our purpose. And therefore, it's to free up the stuck energy, to reestablish that integrity, that oneness, that flow. And by the way, if you don't subscribe to these things in a literal way, going along with it in a metaphorical way, using it as a metaphor, is actually, I've found, just as effective. Because whether we're using metaphor or literal belief, our subconscious, the different levels of our consciousness and intelligence, will relate to it and make of it the same thing. And again, the ultimate purpose and task of logosynthesis is to help you align with yourself and with your life purpose. And if you subscribe to this on a personal, spiritual level, then that's your ultimate task as well. So doing that doesn't just mean we ultimately do better work with our clients. It means we're modeling a different way of being, a different way of living in this world and of doing our work and of interacting with other people. And that benefits the world as much as it benefits our clients. What resonates here? What for you is relevant, and how does this resonate for you, and what's your experience? Pause the video here and take a moment to tune in and ask yourself, how does this resonate for you, both in terms of the desire, in what ways do you experience this desire to be aligned, to be authentic, to be on purpose? In what ways do you feel blocked or stuck or feel like things get in the way of that? And you might even want to write that down. Take a moment to write it down as you reflect on it. Because then we're going to do just a guided exercise. In what way are you conscious of, in touch with your life purpose? To what degree do you feel like you know, sense, feel what your life purpose is? You can rate that on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's do a guided exercise now. And I'm going to invite you to, if you're comfortable with it, to close your eyes. And either way, to shift your focus to your breath. Bringing your focus away from thoughts and thinking, away from this event, back in to your own breath, your own body. Focusing on the inhalation and the exhalation. Focusing on the physical sensation of opening up, taking in, releasing, letting go. The taking in and letting go is a process that's happening at every level of our being, from the atomic level, the level of energy, to the cellular level, to the level of organs, to the level of consciousness and awareness, to yourself as a person. Taking in and letting go is such a fundamental life activity and process. So when you focus on the physical sensation of doing that in your body at this moment, you're centering your awareness in life, in your living, in the present. And as you keep tuning into the breath, become aware of the aspect of you that is doing the tuning in. In other words, it's not your mind. There's a sense of your own presence that is there, quiet, calm, still, that is awareness. Don't worry about whether or not you're able to do this or to what degree you're able to do this. What mostly matters is just that intention to let go of your usual form of awareness and to be curious to open up to your still presence in this moment, your felt presence. And now you are more in touch with and aligned with essence, self with a capital S. And from that place, notice in your life and in the work you do, what are the ways in which you feel closer to this, that you feel in alignment, in flow, that you feel authentic. Not authentic as an idea, as a feeling, as an experience. When we're authentic, when we're aligned, we're more in flow, which means we're not thinking so much about what we're doing, we're just doing. There's a sense of flow from our inner self to the outer world. We don't have to question because we know. It feels right. Notice the things you do in your work and in your life, or the places or the people with whom you do this, that feel right in this way, that feel in flow. Notice those things that you invest energy that don't feel in flow. Or notice your own thoughts and feelings and reactions that get in the way of experiencing this. Self-doubt, self-criticism, insecurity, fear, anxiety, beliefs. Don't get into thinking about them. Just be aware of what you tune into, what you become aware of. And now we'll come back to that. But now let yourself imagine if you could resolve and let go of any patterns of thinking, feeling, reacting, any beliefs that get in your way of being authentic, of being aligned with yourself and living that way, working that way. What would that look like? What would it feel like? Can you glimpse that? If you could feel that way in your body, none of that holding back, none of that tension, full acceptance of yourself and giving yourself full permission to be who you are. What would that look like? What would it change? Now imagine giving yourself permission here and now to simply do that, to act on that. Notice what feeling you have if you imagine just giving yourself permission. If on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is just feeling 100% ready and able and willing to just step out and be that person and work that way, act that way. Where are you on that scale? If anything, if you're not a 10, what comes up that gets in the way? What thought? What image? What idea? What awareness? Whatever way you feel it. It might be a tension in your body, it might be something someone said, it might be your own inner self saying something. And I'm going to guide you on doing sentences on that. Just before we do that, I'm going to say, if you are feeling 100%, if you're feeling a 10, that you can do this, but you're not actually doing it in your life, check into why. Why am I not being this person, working this way? Why am I not being fully open and aligned and authentic? And notice what comes up then. Now we'll do this exercise in a general way so that whatever has come up for you, whether it's a thought, a belief, a physical sensation, a memory, whatever it is, or an abstract image, it doesn't matter. It's a representation. And so I'm going to give the sentence and you'll repeat it aloud for yourself, filling in the blank. There's two ways to do this. You can fill in the blank when I say, I retrieve all my energy bound up in this representation of, or you can just say this representation, as I will, this representation of what stops me from being authentic and myself. So the first sentence is, I retrieve all my energy bound up in this representation of what prevents me from being myself, from being authentic. And I take it back to the right place in myself. Just speak those words and let it process. I'll say the second sentence. I retrieve. And now for the second sentence. I remove all non-me energy related to this representation of what prevents me from being myself. I remove it from every cell in my body, from all my bodies and my personal space. And I send it back to where it truly belongs. And just let it process. Now the third sentence. I retrieve all my energy bound up in all my reactions. to this representation of what prevents me from being myself. And I take it back to the right place in myself. And just let that process. And now, first, just note whatever is there, whatever thought, image, feeling, awareness. Because if you continue working on this, there might very well be something coming up, another layer or a clarity. There's very likely a more specific aspect or another aspect coming up that you can continue working on and doing the sentences on. And now come back to the starting point, which was just asking yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is feel 100% ready and able and willing to step out in the world and be this person who you are. Where are you at now? What's the first number that comes up without thinking? And notice, this may be the same or different than what we just noted before. Notice what is there now that prevents it from being a 10 out of 10. What thought, physical sensation, feeling, awareness, image. For most people, there'll be multiple pieces, layers to keep working on. There's way too much to cover in terms of what might get in our way of giving ourselves permission to be fully present and authentic and in flow in everything we do, but especially in our work. And so every time you focus in, whatever comes up for you, you can just take a moment to do the sentences, retrieving your energy from whatever thought or belief or image or feeling, sensation that comes up for you, whatever reason for not allowing yourself to be fully authentic and aligned. And just do the 3 sentences and see what comes up and keep working with it as far as you want to go, expecting that that'll be an ongoing process. And I hope that you'll continue working on this. For me, part of my life purpose has been to work on accessing my life purpose, if you want, has been to continue and continually keep working on letting go of those patterns, of that frozen energy, to become more and more who I really am. I think that's everybody's life purpose on a certain level. And here we just use the basic logosynthesis technique. But if you explore more advanced techniques with logosynthesis, there's really a wide and deep resource of ways to continue to just loosen up and let go of that energy instead of fighting with yourself, to just engage and encounter and let go of all those energetic blocks, preconceptions, beliefs, patterns. And so I invite you to dig further and deeper and continue doing this work. And I hope this was useful.